just keeping an eye on our time. Unfortunately, time is flying. It is 8:25 already, and we do still have a few questions you want to get through, but we have promised the candidates 2 minutes for their closing questions. So we are going to move to a final question, and but again, we will ask for contact information after. The final question, we will start on this side of the stage. Where do you stand in terms of gender inequality and other forms of inequality in Hamilton?
Income inequality, gender inequality. Like, guys, I was trying not to do this. I happen to own a cafe downtown, okay? Doesn't matter what its name is, I don't care. What I want to say to you is, when I opened it up, I signed on to something called, I signed on to something called the Peace Manifesto 2000, okay? Who's going to hold me to it? No one but myself. Now, what it is, I have to follow 6 basic principles of life. And that is, and this is how I get my staff to summarize it with everyone, folks, when you create a spot that is full of support, that is literally there to carry people forward, give them a hand when they need it, it's when ageism, racism, sexism keep going with every ism, because we eradicate them through caring, sharing. Okay, these are the points that I want to talk to you guys about. As a city, you know, we're known as the sanctuary city right now. It's time for us to utilize it.
The important part of the city system we have that deals with a number of the inequality issues are the volunteer committees we have at the city. There's a Status of Women committee, there's a committee against racism, there's a committee that deals with gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, queer issues as well. And it's important that we maintain those committees and support them as much as we can. They provide clear and very important feedback to City Council as we develop new policies. I've had the opportunity to sit on the Committee Against Racism these past 6 years, and they've recommended an anti-racism resource center that will deal with the issues across the city when it comes to racist incidents being reported and things being done about those. The police deal with hate crime issues, but there's many, many more racist incidents that occur in our city that are underreported. This resource center would deal with those, and I support that strongly.
Gender inequality. I look around me and I think I'm the only female up on stage, so I think I got that one covered. I agree with Brian. I like the resource committee that they're doing. Gender inequality is very alive and well in Hamilton, and I see this every day. Running for mayor. The question I've been asked the most through email on Facebook, sadly, is, are you single? And I bet you if you ask any one of my counterparts up here, they've probably been asked better questions than, are you single? And that's been my first question, or can I take you out for a date? Is it just because I'm a woman, or do you think I'm pretty, or what? It doesn't matter. That's not something that I want to be valued for when I'm running for mayor. I want to be valued for my thoughts, my ideas, my opinions, my strength, the fact that I have the nerve to get up here amongst all these other men. And I'm not downgrading any one of them, because this is not an easy position to be in. But why should I be treated any less because of that? I shouldn't be. So I'm all for these committees and these resources, but I do think that we need to get them out into the community more, because there's a lot of us that don't know about them.
Thank you, Crystal. Everyone's been great on this question tonight. I don't have too much to add, but I've actually felt myself the discrimination of being a male very strongly here in Hamilton. There's actually guys are not really welcome. I don't know why that is. I've never felt that before. But I think we should have bureaus that deal with these issues such as sexism, racism, ageism in particular. That's pretty strong here, where we have a body that actually has teeth that actually impose like penalties on companies or workplace environments that purport those and support those kinds of things, because these are the toxic environments that are destroying the fiber and the culture of society. People coming home and bringing, you know, toxic ideas from the workplace, being discriminated against. We need to reverse all that. We need to integrate. We need to do away with any kind of ism and just be a great one people, like I know we are. Thank you, folks.
Well, as has been said a little while ago, we have a number of organizations that look at equality and inclusion in our community. I think it's critically important that we are an open and inclusive community in all areas. But you know what, the biggest issue that I've kind of talked about often is how do we encourage more women to enter politics? And I quite agree with Crystal. It's unfortunate that there aren't more female representation on council or actually in our national government. You know, I was quite intrigued by Kim Campbell's recommendation on the federal side to look at balancing all of the electoral areas with one male and one female representative. I think that's not a bad idea. It's certainly a good way to actually enforce gender equality, but I think it's an attitudinal thing. I think most of us men need to think and make sure that we have equality in our minds always. And I'll have to tell you that if my wife were up here running for mayor, I wouldn't be running. She would be winning the race right now, and I think there's many, many good female candidates that should be standing up here running for elected office.
Thank you,
more
Fred.
often, more quickly, and more frequently. We'd be the better
Thank
for
you.
it.
Let's be honest with ourselves. We pride ourselves as Canadians for our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and it provides equality. But do we have equality in our society today? No, we don't. We talk up a good talk, but the reality is it's not there. We need to develop an accepting community, and that comes from leadership, right from the very top. We need to talk about being an accepting community, that all newcomers are welcome in our community, that we're going to do everything for newcomers to celebrate their own diversity and to build their own prosperity. We have to ensure that women are treated exactly the same way. When I was first elected, I promised that everyone would be treated equally, and I have done that. Doesn't matter who comes to see me, I treat everyone equally. And that's what we need in government, day in and day out. And we need to acknowledge the fact that we're not there. We're there in law, but we're not there in attitude across the city and across the country yet. There's still an awful lot more that we can do. Thank you.
I think the most part which I wanted to say, Brad Clark already said it. As far as the gender is concerned, again, Livingston, when she talks about it, there should be more females to be there. But I tell you, the females are very stronger. And the men, you know, I'm a married man. And I call myself a fearless labor leader. But the only person I have a fear, that is from my wife. So the woman has more stronger powers than the man. And the country which we are living here, you know, the law says something different, but practically the things are altogether different. The people who becomes the victim of racism or for any other reason, you know, they don't get the proper justice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Tommy Douglas, he raised the bar on gender equality when he had ladies elected to the Government of Canada and Ontario, a long time ago. My father brought me up to respect women and to respect men as well. If I was going to get married today, I'd have a prenup. That's about as equal as you're going to get. Equality begins in the cradle. And like I said before, when we were born, we had no vote. Our parents, I voted for my father when he was on his deathbed because he couldn't make it there. I voted for myself, of course, with his permission. Yeah. And that's where equality starts. Section 3 is being violated by the Charter because... I'm sorry. I can't hear you. No, come on up here. I can't hear you.
Okay.
You can't lose your sense of humor, sister. The world is a horrible place.
So we'll allow Michael to
I'd like to have a debate, seriously, but it's...
Okay. So we appreciate the question from the floor. We will acknowledge the point being made, and thank you, Michael, for the question there. So. Okay, so I'm just going to calm things down for a quick minute, everybody. We did outline the format at the beginning of today and indicated we wouldn't be taking questions from the floor. We did want to have a dialogue today, and as we can see, we've talked on a lot of topics that are very important and close to many people, so we appreciate the perspectives that are being shared. And we did choose to ask certain people, or a lot of the questions were for all candidates. We referred them to one candidate at a time because we wanted the candidates to hear a diverse perspective of the questions coming from the floor. We knew we wouldn't have time to go through all the questions with all people. So I will encourage the candidates, if they want, to allude to some of the topics that they didn't answer when they're giving their closing remarks. And I will reiterate that we do ask for them to provide their contact information. We do encourage the audience to reach out directly and follow up with this dialogue. Now, one quick note before we move to our closing remarks. I know I'm preaching to the choir.